When I first got into distance running, and specifically ultra running, a lot of the advice I heard centered around the idea of run slow to go fast, or that ultra running wasn't a sport about who runs the fastest, but about who slows down the least. But looking at some of the recent results in the ultra world, like Will Murray and David Roche's recent results of the Javelina 100, Will averaged 4:31 per kilometre for 160 kilometres on his way to the win. It's clear that speed plays an important role at the top level of ultra running. But I also think there's something the rest of us non-elites can learn from all this speed. Even if we're planning on spending our races at much more human paces, there's very good reason and science to support why we should spend more time running fast each week. All right, obviously, these ultras are getting faster and faster, and that's going to be down to a lot of factors, like obviously better fueling and better understanding of training science and things like that. But I did think it was a good excuse for us to talk about speed work this week, something that you do a lot of.
Absolutely. I do it pretty much religiously. Yeah, I definitely do it every week. There's been periods in my career where I've done it on average 2.5 times a week, which is kind of the sweet spot for marathoners, they say. But yeah, at the moment, in a typical training week for ultras, for me, I'm definitely doing one targeted track work session, and then I also do other speed work within the week.
And so for people, people like me, runners who aren't going to race at these kind of paces, why is speed work still such an important part of the training cycle that we should try and structure for ourselves?
Yeah, well, it's the most important thing in terms of building your fitness and running economy, and it will allow you to run faster for less energy.
Right, so talk to me about that, because I know we've talked about this before, but when you are working on your speed, you've sort of talked about how, if you raise your ceiling, it kind of like brings up the base.
If you can increase your top end speed and your fitness, VO2 max, your running economy, it just means that everything else becomes slightly easier to maintain. So then if you throw that open to these big ultra races, 50Ks and above, you're going to be able to sit for longer and be more comfortable at a pace which is more sustainable and faster than it would have otherwise been.
That's going to be huge, right? If you're a mid-packer or a back of the packer, these races are long. That can add up to hours at the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know for amateurs, speed work, especially track sessions and stuff, they can be intimidating, but it doesn't have to be that, right? Like you can work in speed in other ways, and I know you love hunting Strava crowns and segments, so
yeah. We are going to be building that into a speed session today, which is about 10 kilometres in total, but it has 2 1-mile repeats there, and for me it's important at the moment. I'm in the final build towards Kosciuszko Miler. I'm running a single track, it's heaps of fun, it's on trail, so I'll be able to kind of see how I go on that leaderboard and just push myself and make myself really accountable.
Well, you better go get your warm-up done. I'm going to go head out to the segment, so I'll see you out there. So while Vlad gets his warm-up done, I may as well give you a little bit of my own running journey to sort of back up what we're saying. So I, like many of us, was pretty late to running, and after my first few years of consistent training, I hit my first major running milestone, the sub 25K. I was pretty stoked with that. That was all the way back in 2018, and since then I've done a lot of speed work, a lot of intervals, track sessions, and my 5K time, well, it hasn't improved that much. I mean, this is my fastest time this year, around about 19 minutes. So a few seconds per kilometre faster at the top end. But what has changed a lot is my easy pace from all of that speed work. If we look back at the runs that I was doing when I first did that sub 25K, my slow runs, or my easy pace runs, were around 6 minutes per kilometre. However, when I ran that 19-minute 5K this year, my easy pace runs were a lot faster, and that's what speed work gives you. It gives you outsized benefits at your easy or all-day paces. Now, I wish there was a smoking gun study that really said this is the amount that you're going to gain on your easy pace if you do speed work, but there really wasn't something like that, at least that I could find. However, there is a lot of science to support that speed work, especially short bursts of speed work like strides or hill strides, do really improve running economy, which is really what your all-day pace is all about, right? How fast you can move for a limited amount of effort. Now, I've talked about this one paper before, which actually pulled together 40 studies studies, all looking at, short bursts of speed. And across all of those 40 papers, they found that athletes got more economic with their running. Now, I'll put a link below to the video where I go a lot more into detail about that study, but the best part of it was that it actually doesn't even need to be that much. Just 1 or 2 short speed sessions a week were enough to get the full running economy benefits. How was that, mate?
Yeah, it's a good run. Heaps of fun, actually. I did 2 really good efforts. Yeah, it's good motivation because the time was quick as well.
I guess the crux of this video is, finding ways to fit speed into your week, however you manage to do it.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like, it doesn't have to be structured. Just have a lot of fun with it. Pick something that is manageable for you, but definitely pushes you to turn your legs over and run faster than you normally would, because the speed doing that weekly is going to come back in loads to help you later on.
And obviously, we talk about this as well all the time, but volume and easy volume, that's important as well, of course. But it's just about, finding little pockets of speed, because your base and your slower speeds are just going to benefit so much from it.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, get out there, have fun with it, and you can see what we did today was like heaps of fun, very specific, and got a lot out of it, and yeah, it's a great day.
Awesome, mate. Well, always appreciate your advice, and to everyone out there, thanks for watching, and drop a comment below if you've got any questions, but we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you later. Thank you.